welcome back to my channel. I'm Emerald the Quilter, and it is almost time for the new year. So I'm going to reflect and review how I did this year in 2023 so that I can share with you my plans for 2024. We're going to start off by looking at some of my notes in my journal that I shared with you at the beginning of the year. We'll look at some of my whips and then a couple of quilts that are almost done. So let's get started. These were my plans for this year, and we're just gonna go through them to see how well I kept up with them. So my most important one for this year was to use what I had at home as much as I could. And I think I did an okay job at that because when I did purchase more fabric, it was like under special occasion. So at the retreat, it had been the first retreat I had ever been on. When I went on a shop hop during vacation with my mom. So those were sort of special. Other than that, I was not out and about buying fabric for no reason. So I did pretty good there. I'm gonna give myself a check. I did finish the horse and sheep cross stitch. They are not set into any frame, but the cross stitch is done. I did not start my Milk and Cream Co. cross stitch project, so I'm gonna have to do this next year. I did finish binding my Scrappy September for 2021. My ... quilt is at the quilters right now, so that is gonna go into next year. I finished my towel. I did finish the top for the Scrappy Lady Tulip quilt, and I did make an Easter basket. I also worked a lot on my whips in the baskets in my cubby, and I will roll that out to show you how much I did. And so really my focus was to reduce the number of whips that I had in my basket and in my cubby. So I did pretty good, and I will show you just how much I've done. Now let's look at my plans for 2024, for next year. So I have some quilts on hangers now, so they've moved from the basket to hangers because now they have backing. So I did prepare those. So I want to quilt and bind those whips. I need to finish the quilt for my brother. That is that large flag quilt you may have seen in one of my other videos from Scrappiness is Happiness by Lori Holt. There is a quilt that I want to finish for my grandma, and I will show that to you here in a moment. I'm going to make the Common Bride quilt during the Common Bride quilt along with Edita Sitar of Laundry Basket Quilts. I'm so excited to make that one. And what does this say? Work on my next show quilt. So with the Quilt Guild of Greater Houston, our next show is in 2025, and all quilt tops need to be entered by, I think it's May 2024, and that's why I put a question mark. So that's gonna be a secret. I'm not gonna be posting any pictures of that one. So you'll just have to stay tuned to see if it is actually accepted. Then I want to make a scrappy quilt, and I need to show you my basket of scraps because it's ridiculous. The one that I want to work on is called Spare Squares Quilt from the Scrappiness is Happiness book. So that'll be my third quilt from the book. And I'll explain why I wanted to do that one in a moment. Then I also want to finish my Secret Stash quilt. This is a free pattern by Laundry Basket Quilts. I want to make a charity quilt for the Wellsprings Gala that happens once a year in October. Wellsprings is a nonprofit organization that supports women and children that are survivors of domestic violence. And I want to work on my Broken Star quilt that I have a kit for. And I've had it for a year or two, so I want to work on that. And then just keep my quilts on hangers. So I want to keep them out of the basket, and you'll see why I say that here in a moment. And here's a close-up look of my studio right now. It's pretty messy. The playpen I am using to hold ironed fabrics that I have prepared for a scrappy backing. I'm already using the stair sill for this project, and because it has some loose pieces, I did not want anything touching it, as well as some of the things that I purchased on a trip that I'll share with you. So it's being used as storage right now. I have laying around leftover fabrics from the pillowcases that I made for my nieces and nephews for Christmas. Here is a sneak peek at the fabric line that I'm going to be using for one of my Perfect 5 quilts, and chairs from my bee that I started. You can see there's more space in here now that I've pulled fabrics, right? And this is really the exciting part. Look how flimsy these are. They're like, both of them, they're so much emptier than what they were. Can I pull them out? I know it looks full in the video, but like it was so packed in, you couldn't even move it. Like I can flip through fabrics now. I've used a lot. See, they're flimsy. They used to be very like this one. This one doesn't move at all. So I've used a lot of my fabrics. And then here is my basket system of scraps. And you see, after I pulled it out, it won't even, there it goes. It barely closed. It was not closing earlier. But I have a lot of blues. I don't have a lot of greens, so this one opens very easily. Reds, oranges, pinks, yellows. These are my laundry basket quilt scraps, which I will not mix with anything else. Notions, and I've already cleaned this out once before, but I want to use these scraps. I know a lot of the fabrics are from when I first started quilting years ago. A lot of them are from Hobby Lobby and Joann's, and now other nicer brands are mixed in, but I want to use them. You know, that was good money that I paid. My table's a little messy. There is my current Perfect 5 quilt that I'm working on. And my ribbon. My desk is a disaster. So I have a lot of cleaning to do before the new year. But I'm very proud of this. Very proud of this. And isn't this so cute? Not now. It's time for housework. I'm very proud of my hangers. So you probably remember how full this was, overflowing in my very first video of this series. I mean, it was stacked so high, it was an embarrassment. And this is all that's left. I have my scrappy quilt from the Pattern Scrappiness is Happiness book, one of the patterns in there that I showed you earlier. Still working on the backing for that. I have my mystery quilt from earlier, I think this year. I have 2 yards of backing for this one. I need 2 yards more, so that's why it's there. I don't want to accidentally use it. And I have this one random pillowcase top that I found when I was cleaning my closet. So it's pretty. I don't, not want to use it. So it is going to stay in here, but they are nicely organized. This is cross stitch fabric for my Milk & Co. cross stitch that I had bought at Hobby Lobby. So this is it. I mean, there's so much more space. I want to keep quilt tops out of here because now that my bookshelf is filling up, I would like to use this basket instead to decorate with quilts. Here is my coriander Christmas quilt. It is a pretty big quilt. It touches the base of the wall here, so almost to the floor, but not quite. It's pretty big. I love this quilt. I used green thread for the quilting. I was a little worried about that, but I was encouraged to do so, and I do not regret my decision. It came out lovely. Love the binding, and I love also that it matches my table decor for Christmas. It's very happy. This is the Scrappiness is Happiness book by Lori Holt, and I want to show you the quilt that I've already made. So I made that one, and it's beautiful. I am currently working on putting a scrappy backing together for this, and this is the quilt that my family and I are working on for my brother, who is currently overseas, and he's supposed to come back home April 2024. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that that is true and that we get to see him soon. This is called the Patchwork Star Block Quilt. And then the one that I want to make is this one. So the reason I want to make this one is because it uses so many backgrounds in whites. And I have more whites in my baskets than any other color. So let me get that. Here is my basket. It is overflowing, and there's so much pressed into here that actually when I pulled this one out, it took my basket of grays and blacks too. So they just came out together, and I would really like to reduce the amount of scraps that I have. So that's why I'm going to be making the Spare Squares quilt. In this box, I have the quilt that I am making for my grandma. I used a pattern from the American Patchwork and Quilting magazine, and it is from the February 2021 edition, Tile Time. So I absolutely love this quilt. I have been wanting to make it for a long time, and when my mom was like, hey, let's make a quilt for grandma, she's just retiring, I was like, yes, I know the perfect pattern. So I have my background here, and these are the blocks that I've made so far. So she does not know that we are making her a quilt, but I know she's gonna love it. So yeah, I only have 2 blocks, but they're all cut, all the pieces. They're in here. You can see all my squares are ready. I took it to Kansas with me when I visited my parents over Thanksgiving break, and we worked on it together. And then at the bottom, I had also taken this one. At the bottom is my secret stash quilt. So they're all prepared, pinned to this paper. I had worked on some. My dad was helping me rip the paper off, so I need to cut the little doggy ears out and press them. But I have worked on it a bit. I think the pattern is down here. Yep, here it is. So you can download this online, either at Andover or on laundrybasketquilts.com, and it's Secret Stash, Neutrals, and Warm. So this one was a free pattern. Then I have my Broken Star kit. I bought this kit at the Quilters Emporium. It came with the pattern and all the fabric. So it's not pre-cut, but it has everything that you need. And they're all from that beautiful line, Perfect Union. That was the same line that my quilt show from this year was made out of. So I love that. It's a beautiful line. And even more of a reason that I want to make this quilt is because I have the backing. So this is the backing right here. I've got binding, backing, pattern, everything to make this quilt, so there's absolutely no reason why I can't make it. So I am going to make this beautiful little quilt. This is the Common Bride quilt pattern. It's a big pattern and I'm so excited to make this. I bought the pattern at the International Quilt Festival and I've been pulling some fabrics. I haven't taken them out of their packages yet, but I have this one. This is one of the newer blue lines. I forget what it's called. I think I bought it at the quilt shop in Katie, So Special Quilts, and I liked it because of these darker blues here. So I definitely want to use these darker blues. I'm going to try to stay true to the colors of this pattern. Not like every single one specifically, but overall. And what I know I want to change is to go somewhere in between the darkness of these backgrounds and the lightness of the one that is online. So this one to me is really dark and the one online is very, very, very light. And so I definitely want like a medium colored background and I need to shop for that. So that's on my to-do list. I also pulled this one. I bought this at the International Quilt Festival, I think last year, and it has a lot of beautiful backgrounds. So I want to use like almost all of these, probably not the ones with the words, but definitely I want to use these. They're beautiful. And then I have my Lady Tulip Fat Eighth bundle, and I like this bundle because it has a lot of the greens and cheddars that I need with a few backgrounds and then these reddish pink colors. I may use the orange since there's only a couple in here, but definitely I'm going to be using a lot of this. I have my lemon drop bundle pulled out and my mint greens bundle. So you need a lot of greens for like the applique and all that. And so I have these are all fat quarters. And I just put these on the top. The rest of the ones that are in here are fabrics that are not by Laundry Basket Quilts. I think this one is not either, but I just put it in the pile because it's pretty. But yes, I want to use these. And all of the yellows in my lemon drop bundle are by Laundry Basket Quilts. So you don't need as many yellows as like greens and blues and especially like the reds, but I just pulled it out because, you know, I don't want to use anything if I think I might have plans for it by accident. I have this, you know, some scraps that are at least a 5/8 in size. So they're not quite like a half yard, they may be a quarter yard. And I just pulled them. So we will see which fabrics I end up going with. I know I'm gonna have to buy some background fabrics because I want, you know, it to be a little bit lighter, but I've got a lot of pretty ones to start with. I brought all the hangers with quilt tops and backing out on them, and it's very heavy. What I love about doing this instead of keeping them in the basket is that it keeps them flat, organized. I mean, they weren't getting too wrinkly in the basket because of the way that I rolled them, but having them on the hangers encouraged me to get the backing done. And it is incredible how much fabric you go through when you are using fabric in your stash to make backing. And that was kind of the whole point of my goal this year, was to use what I had as much as I could. So here is a fun backing that I made. There it is. This is going to be the top. And this backing goes with my spider web quilt top that I started at the retreat that I went to this summer with the Quilt Guild of Greater Houston. And I'm gonna have to fold that later because this is a lot of fabric. And I'm gonna show that to you too. I used pretty much everything that is in that backing is also in the front of this quilt top. And this quilt top was so much fun to make. I was like obsessed with making this because it was such a challenge and it was so different from anything that I've ever done before. So I really love this quilt. It's pretty good, pretty good. It's supposed to be done with foundation paper piecing, but as you can see, I did not do that, and I got some help from one of my friends in the guild. So I had a great instructor. So that is this whip here. It is ready to be quilted. This is an old whip, so I do remember showing this one at the beginning or earlier this year, and it's just blue pineapples for absolutely no reason other than I wanted to use up my blue scraps. And here is a fun backing that I made with it. There is a right side to this because I put a pineapple in the back since I had an extra pineapple. Yay! And so it's just a bunch of fun nonsense, right? Using what I had. This actually might come to work with me. I have some small quilts in my classroom library that my kids like to use, so I'll probably take that one with me once it's all done. And this is the backing for the Lady Tulip quilt. I'm not going to take this one out because it's just that fabric, and I know I've shown this one to you already. That one was already like 100% done, that top. But this top, it was not 100% done the last time I showed it to you, so I will take it out. And of course I had to use the prettiest backing that came with the line. Love this backing. And last time when you saw this, all I was missing was the borders, and my borders are on. I love this quilt. I think this is my favorite quilt that I've ever made. Can you see it all? It's so beautiful. And the name, and the name, So in Love, matches how I feel about this quilt because I'm so in love with this quilt. So those are my quilts that are on hangers. I've seen many quilters do this before, and at first I just thought like it was really weird. Why would you put your quilt top on a hanger? But I get it now, and it doesn't make sense why I wasn't doing it before. So, you know, you live and you learn. I have a new system now, and once I finish getting the other quilts backings prepared, I can put those on hangers and then use that rolling basket to decorate my room with actual finished quilts. And last but certainly not least, I have two beautiful quilts that I want to show you. This first one is a quilt that I made for my son for his 2nd birthday because he loves cars and his favorite shape is stars. So I've been working on this one for a little while. It was not difficult to make at all. It was really fun. I just used I think it was a fat 1/8 bundle that I had, and the pattern is called Sewing Star. And there are many different colorways online when you look up Sewing Star on laundrybasketquilts.com. And this is the backing that I used, which he loved the backing more than he loved the front because, you know, it's just so much more visible and it pops out. But when he saw it, he just laughed and ran and hugged it. And so it just made my day. That's why we make quilts, right? So because it was for my son, I also matched up my seams. Can you see? It's right there. So I did my best to match them up, make it extra special. And the quilting was also done by my friend Lois Kinley. I will put her website in the description box below, and she put some cars of different kinds on here. And so I'm working on the binding, and I can't wait to finish this for him. Probably just a few more nights and it'll be done. And the last quilt that I have is a fig tree box of the month or block of the month. And it was like, it's from 2021. Do I have the date back here? Yep, block of the month 2021, and it's called Sparkles and Cream Mystery Quilt. So here is that quilt. I'm trying to show you the bottom too. And I had a lot of fun making this quilt. It was a little challenging because I've never worked with nothing but low volumes before, and so it was very different, and I didn't really quite get it, but I loved it. I quilted this myself with some help from a quilt shop that has now closed down. It was in Sugar Land, Texas, and that quilt shop was so beautiful. And I had such a blast there learning how to use the handy quilter. But yeah, I quilted this one, and I really love it. Here is the back. So you can see that I got some things done, right? I mean, it wasn't like, I don't think that 2023 was the year that I did the most quilts, but with working on my Perfect 5 quilts and making sure that I record them and spending time editing and posting them, you know, I have to start considering that as quilting too, because that also takes a lot of time. So I feel like for the most part, I met my goal this year. I did a pretty good job. I did not overspend. I, you know, did give it an honest try to use what I had. And I've moved whips along through like my cubby system and my basket system, and now onto hangers, and things are quilted. Like, I've been doing pretty good. So I'm proud of myself. Give myself a pat on the back. So I hope that you had a productive year too. And I don't think I'll be seeing you until next year. So I hope you have a happy new year, happy holidays, and I'll see you in January 2024. Bye.